Oh, that looks like an interesting link. Ever get the feeling you're not alone? Well, this week, Click meets the hackers who break into your system with your permission. After the big video games console announcements last week, we'll check out the smaller alternatives, hoping to level the playing field. And we seek out the detectives spotting the Photoshop fakes. All that plus the latest tech news and a network for any parent striving to get the right amount of tech into your children's lives. That's all of us then, in Webscape. Welcome to Click. I'm Spencer Kelly. If you've been hacked... Yeah, okay, thank you. You can go now. Sorry, just my personal hacker. If you've been hacked, it generally means that someone uninvited is watching your computer's every move. But there is another side to hacking, where companies actually invite people to test their defences. It's called penetration testing, and LJ Rich has been to Stockholm and London to take a closer look at the people being paid to take a closer look.
Hacking. Often illustrated by anonymous, lingering typing shots like these, scaremongering stories abound of just how easy it is to tap into your precious information. Hacking doesn't necessarily just mean the bad guys, though. Other hackers try to defend our data, bringing balance to the force. So, what actually happens during the battle beneath the web's tranquil surface? I've come to Stockholm in Sweden to meet a company that employs people who hack for a living. Wow, this is a grand old building. Certainly not a place I would expect to find lots of gadgets. Now, this is what I imagined an ethical hacking company's HQ would look like. Welcome to the Security Operations Centre. With a setup worthy of a Hollywood action movie, this company looks out for over 70 clients, monitoring their websites for potential attacks. Each screen shows different data, from attack rates in the last day or so to a visualised world map where each circle represents the region of a potential attack. Operators handle around 1,700 alerts daily, and attempted invasions can come from anyone.
You have like random kids on the internet. They're not usually very skilled, but they will find like the most obvious vulnerabilities in your externally exposed stuff. Of course, there are those that are no longer kids and will have sort of slightly higher tolerance. That's when you cross the border into some sort of hacktivists. They have some sort of agenda. They might dislike your company, or they will probably put in some more effort to try and make you look bad or try and steal your data. And then, of course, we have the category of competitors wanting to steal your data.
With all these threats, it's tempting to think that ethical hacking companies only monitor and defend sites, but there's another service they provide. Organisations ask ethical hackers or penetration testers to have a go at stealing their data.
A lot of companies get sort of compromised from within. You know, you have rogue traders in the banks. They start trading for and sort of fake the authorization from their bosses. Those kind of scenarios are pretty hard to mitigate against, because it doesn't need more than a faked email, and then you have the clearance to that trade you shouldn't be able to do.
Working out how attackers might breach a system means penetration testers, or pen testers, need to think like the malicious hackers they try to stop. Hello.
Hi, LJ.
Consequently, they know the tricks of the trade. I asked Björn to show me.
So I found a web vulnerability on this site that I can use to inject code into the site, so I can add a malicious applet to the site that you can view later on.
Don't worry, this site's been specially built for the demo. Bjorn enters some innocent text on an online forum, but tags some not-so-innocent code onto the end. This attack exploits a vulnerability in the site, which means it will treat that extra text as code and run that code through my unupdated browser. When his terminal tells him I'm there, he can look through my files, turn on the microphone, or even activate the webcam. In short, he can do anything remotely that I can do from my keyboard. You can combat this sort of attack by making sure you're using the latest version of your browser and keep your Java plugin updated. And of course, running up-to-date antivirus software. Free ones include AVG for PCs and iAntivirus for Mac. Now, you're unlikely to give your PIN number out to just anyone in real life or on the web, but malicious hackers use something called social engineering to extract our data this way. Pen testers also use this technique to discover if the company they're investigating is vulnerable to it.
I need some help. I'm trying to log into our webmail application and I can't seem to get this to work.
Sounds pretty believable, doesn't he? It works by relying on a very human trait to want to help someone in need. And very often, this persuasive approach is used in conjunction with technology to create an almost irresistible urge to click. You'll probably have received something like this before, an email designed to get you to click on a link. And if you do, it could compromise your computer's security. It's called a phishing email. To be honest, you'll have your suspicions about clicking this one. But here at Trustwave, a central London pen testing company, Michele showed me a much subtler phishing technique which works even if you have a fully patched computer.
I'm using a software called BEEF, Browser Exploitation Framework. We can trick the victim to actually enter the credentials, for example, for a very famous social networking website, and just configuring the correct module.
Essentially, it's the program that does the social engineering. Fake login pages fool the user into entering their details. Those go straight to the hacker's desktop. But before unplugging everything, you can take some action. If you're not sure about a short link, a URL lengthener like longurl.com can tell you where it's headed by expanding the address for you. Plus, think about having one password for social sites and another for email or sites which access sensitive data, like bank details. Most people in the pen testing industry are keen to point out that attempting and/or achieving systems access without permission is generally against the law. But assuming consent has been given, what happens if, and more likely when, pen testers breach companies' defences?
There's been some very surprised people at the other end of the phone, certainly. You know, when you are doing a pen test over the internet, there's sometimes an expectation that you'll only really get kind of surface deep. Quite often it's the case, you know, there might be a web server at the perimeter. We'll compromise that as part of the process. We'll kind of punch a hole further down into deeper into the corporate network by chaining different kind of vulnerabilities and exploits together, and eventually we'll find ourselves with literally the keys to the kingdom.
So, can a company ever guarantee the security of our data if we can access it in the outside world? Balancing the need to deny impersonators with the genuine user's need for access is where the battle continues.
LJ Rich on the ins and outs of getting in. And of course, the main message in all of this is if you're not entirely sure about what you're clicking on, don't click on it. Good, well that's cybercrime sorted then. Next up, it's this week's tech news. Microsoft has made a dramatic U-turn over its decision to impose restrictions on pre-owned games on its new Xbox One console. In an online statement, Xbox head honcho Don Mattrick revealed that its new console, due for release later this year, will now not need to connect to Microsoft servers for authentication every 24 hours, and that physical copies of games, whether they be second-hand or brand new, will play on any Xbox One if that game's disc is in the machine's tray. The move comes after Microsoft came under increasing pressure from the gaming press and fans concerned about digital rights management. It's time for another world's thinnest smartphone, this time from Chinese electronics outfit Huawei. The Ascend P6 is just over 6mm thick. It features a higher res than normal 5-megapixel forward-facing camera for users keen on taking better quality selfies or self-portraits. A feature called Instant Beauty Support is supposed to reduce wrinkles and blend skin tones to create a more flattering picture, something that could also be achieved with a lower quality camera. And finally, if you're sick of being stuck in traffic on your daily commute, why not take to the sky? Dubbed the Paravelo, this British bike-cum-aircraft works by combining an everyday folding bicycle with a trailer fitted with a very powerful fan and a parasail. It's not quite as easy as riding a bike, but the inventors insist it's portable enough to take apart and carry into an office. Capable of reaching an altitude of 4,000 feet at a speed of 25 miles an hour, though, it's truly a hair-raising experience in every sense. Last week we were at the E3 video game show in LA, where we saw Sony, Microsoft and Nintendo slug it out in the next generation console war. But these days the battle lines aren't quite as clear as they used to be, because there are other pretenders to the gaming crown. And Richard Taylor has been checking some of them out.
Welcome to the new playing field in gaming. This, for example, is the Ouya, a $99 Android micro console. It's designed to get you playing smartphone-like games in your living room. The logic is simple. Take on the likes of Sony, Microsoft and Nintendo by luring into the home the fast-multiplying new breed of gamers. Ones weaned on far cheaper but oddly compelling titles on their handsets. The big question, will enough casual gamers weaned on 4-inch displays want to play the more basic fodder on their 42-inch tellies? Another salvo on the living room is being fired from another direction, the PC in a box brigade. Again, a micro-sized number which would sit right in your living room, hooked up to the big screen. Due for launch later this year, they'll be running high-spec PC games, and potentially they're easily upgradable year on year, just hot swap out the processor. Certainly more so than a locked-down traditional console.
And there are even devices that can combine both of those ideas. This is NVIDIA Shield, and it has two main purposes in life. The first is to act as a kind of gaming system on a controller. So you can see here it's a 5-inch high-definition screen. Now at the moment it's running Android, which is the operating system it comes with. You've got all your access to your normal apps from the Google Play Store, so Twitter, Facebook, streaming services, but a quick press of the button and it takes you to its core purpose, which is really to play games. Now gaming is what this device is really all about, and it's being powered underneath the controller by a Tegra 4 graphics processor, which has been specifically optimized for gaming in a way that your normal smartphone or tablet running Android simply wouldn't be. So you get details like lighting and shadows, which make for a visually richer experience. Now, its other purpose in life is to stream games directly from your NVIDIA-powered PC. NVIDIA traditionally has made hardware, graphics cards that lie in a computer. What if you want to untether yourself from that and play those PC games but in a different room entirely? Well, over Wi-Fi you can simply stream those games using the graphical grunt of your PC onto the screen here, and if you're in your living room you can actually stream directly out of here onto your flat screen TV. But of course the biggest feature about this kind of device is that it's truly portable. So you've got an Android experience on the bus, on the train, which isn't just on your smartphone, but on an ergonomically suitable device for gaming. $350, it's not cheap. It's more expensive, for example, than the PlayStation Vita, but games for this device actually, of course, will be a lot cheaper. They're regular Android games, so from maybe $1 upwards. One thing is clear though, this is just the first in a new breed of devices that will help create a much richer, more varied landscape than we've seen before.
Thank you, Rich. Richard Taylor with a new approach to gaming. But do you think the hybrid model will appeal? Let us know your thoughts on whether any of the consoles Rich talked about will get you playing in a different way. Email click@bbc.co.uk. Now, we still place incredible faith in photographs to prove that what we say happens, happens. The irony being that it's never been easier to doctor an image digitally. But technology does have a habit of catching up with even the most audacious tricksters. And David Reed's been meeting those who investigate whether photos are fact or fiction.
On show in Geneva, the False Fakes exhibition of photographs that are not what they seem. They might look like documents of our time, but they are staged, manipulated, photoshopped, doctored. If I told you the camera doesn't lie, well, I'd be fibbing. With all this photo fakery going on, you'd think by now we'd be able to tell the difference. The problem is we're being played. Artists like nothing better than manipulating reality so that we can't tell the difference between what's real and what's fake. I asked for some help from Sébastien Leseigneur, one of the exhibition curators. He suggested that if someone is hell-bent on deceiving us, then they'll probably succeed.
Ce qui devient compliqué, en fait, c'est lorsque ça devient à un niveau institutionnel.
What's complicated is when a state or big company sets out to manipulate us. Then they employ complicated strategies that are difficult for us to disentangle, even if we are visually pretty educated.
Très très bonne culture visuelle.
We might expect images in a gallery to be manipulated, but with programs like Photoshop, anyone can distort reality, much to the dismay of insurance companies dealing with claims based on photographic evidence. So what can you do? Well, you can go to companies like Forensics in the US or Verified in Europe. Both companies have developed software that can tell if an image has been tweaked, tampered with, or completely transformed.
We developed a number of mathematical and computational methods which analyze pixel values in digital photos or videos and search for some kind of non-consistencies, inconsistencies in them. So in this way we are able to highlight, detect if some part of the photo or video has been tampered with.
Let's say you wanted to change a birth certificate. The most famous doing the rounds is the US president's, recently sent out by the White House to quell a controversy. It's easy enough to alter it so the president appears to have been born in Nairobi. But put the photos through Verified and it highlights the dodgy area.
This is the original one and this is the photo which has been compressed.
The software examines the data that makes an image up, flagging up inconsistencies to show a recompression or patch on the original.
You see that there are some periodic artifacts, some holes.
Doctoring photos has a long and inglorious history, so here are 5 photo fakes from the archive. You know what it's like, you invite some friends over and you wish some of them hadn't turned up. Here's Chairman Mao and his diminishing entourage. Italian dictator Mussolini airbrushed out his stable hand so he looked more heroic. The horse has long since bolted. More recently, the then French president Nicolas Sarkozy did away with his muffin tops in this famous photo. Number 4. What are you talking about? This is real, isn't it? And finally, Iran misfired when one of its test missiles managed to launch only in Photoshop, leading to internet parodies like this. Photo forensics is a growing field with applications for anyone who needs to know if an image is true. Cameras can lie, but now there's a lie detector.
David Reed, and the False Fakes exhibition is on at Geneva's Centre of Photography until the 28th of July. Now, according to a recent survey by the British parenting website NetMums, children start using the internet on average at the age of 3. And as the parent of a 3-year-old, I find that truly terrifying. If you're in a similar situation, you need to check out Kate Russell's first suggestion this week. It's a social network dedicated to parenting in the digital age.
It can't be easy being a parent in a world where everything seems to be connected to the internet and needs charging up overnight. Except your kids, of course, whose batteries never run out. Tech-curious parents can get some support at Quibbly, a new social platform where you can talk to experts and other concerned parents about the risks and opportunities presented by technology today.
Fathers, be good to your daughters.
I get sent a lot of new and amazing social platforms to consider for review, most of which offer nothing new and aren't particularly amazing. If you want a social platform to succeed, it has to offer something different. Otherwise, what's the point? For me, Quibbly has hit the nail on the head with their focus on straightforward conversations around parenting in the digital age. Web clipping tools are pretty much an essential part of an organised online life. Evernote is one of the industry stalwarts, but foodies might be interested to know they have a dedicated food app for iPhone and Android that lets you store and explore a feast of delicious web content.
I'm moving to the country, I'm gonna eat a lot of peaches.
If you've ever found yourself at a random restaurant that happened to serve the best spicy chicken wings you've ever tasted, but you couldn't remember where it was 3 months later, then this is the app for you. Snap a picture, use the location tag to set it on the map, and when you're in the area with a craving for chicken wings, bon appetit.
The flash of a distant camera, reconnecting thoughts and actions.
Lots of people share their photographs online, but are you giving away the rights to your creativity? Make sure your IP is covered and earn some extra cash by putting your images on Stocksy, a new cooperative for stock photography where people can buy and sell high-quality images in a nicely presented marketplace. The problem with this kind of site is usually they're extremely stingy with your cut of the profits. We've looked at some on Webscape in the past, not so with Stocksy. If your photograph is sold, you get 50% of the standard license fee, and any extended licenses go 100% to the photographer. Not only that, but registered artists get a share in the company profits at the end of the year. So it really is a true cooperative. Your work is going to have to be of a pretty high standard to get listed, but they welcome all comers, so you never know until you try.
This song of love.
A brand new music discovery app launched this week that lets you hear what your friends or those you follow are listening to right now. It's called Soundwave and is free for iPhone and Android. You can also set the data to be drawn from a geographical area to find out what tracks are trending around you. Assuming you're connected to people with good taste, this could be the new revolution in music discovery.
And I look up to the sky for the path of a lightning bolt.
Wimbledon 2013 starts on Monday, and BBC Sport will be acing the digital coverage this year with the most comprehensive lineup of live and on-demand content yet. Up to 10 live streams from the event will be served through the web, connected TVs, tablets, a new mobile site and brand new apps for iPhone and Android. So you need never miss another ball. Sadly, we can't guarantee Andy Murray will make the final.
21 for tennis, wouldn't that be nice?
Thank you, Kate. Kate Russell's Webscape. And if you'd like to suggest a site or an app for a future Webscape, then please email Kate through us. Click at bbc.co.uk. You'll also find her and us on Google+, Twitter and Facebook too. Now, we'll be happy to serve you up tech news throughout the week at our website, bbc.co.uk/click, but that is it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.